Hey guys, this is Stephen Vitt reporting again, and this is going to be another take on this. I originally tried to do a live version of this where I had a demonstration board up on a wall, and as I'm going to show you in another video, that did not work out well at all, and that's going to be a video titled "Green Screen Fail Trial and Error." So be on the lookout for that video, by the way. But anyway, with this video, I'm going to basically redo what I was doing for that live demonstration video. And I'm going to make sure that I cover this game so that you guys can get a look at what I was doing here. Now, this is a recent chess game that I played against the guy who goes by the username Twister 2005. And I think this was a good game overall. I mean, not a masterpiece by any means, but I think it's a good, serviceable game that you guys can learn from, which is why I'm highlighting it now. And what I decided to play here was the Dutch defense. As you guys can see here, I have the black pieces, Twister 2005, he has the white pieces. So without further ado, let's get started. He starts with d4. I start with f5. That is the Dutch defense. When you're playing as black, f5, that's the Dutch defense. Okay, next move is c3 by white. I play h6. Twister plays bishop f4. I play d6. And this is what I normally play anyway when I see the bishop get charging ahead here. Next move, Twister plays knight f3. And I play knight f6. And really, when I get in these positions, I find myself playing this kind of defense a lot. Not just the Dutch defense, but also the other way, where I'll have the pawns structured the way they are right now, and the knight goes out. I see this a lot, in my opponents. So just so you know about that. Next move is queen c2. He's going to start attacking my f pawn. My next move is e6. Defend that pawn. Knight b to d2. He's opening up a queenside castle route for him. My next move is bishop e7. And I'm prepared to kingside castle. And this is what we both do on the next move. He queenside castles, and I kingside castle. And preferably, I like to do that a lot when it comes to games like this. If I know my opponent's going to castle one way, I want to castle the opposite way because it makes for at least a slightly more unpredictable game, at least in my opinion. h3, queen e8, e3, bishop d7, bishop d3, a6, e4. Now, I'm clearly seeing the attack on this f pawn, and I notice here with the knight, highlighting it here, that the knight has to get out of the way because the pawn needs help pretty badly. So, in time, you'll see that. Bishop b5, I do that first, attacking that bishop. e5, so he's going after my knight straight up. I have to move the knight anyway. Knight d5, I charge ahead. Bishop e3. Knight takes bishop e3. F pawn takes knight on e3. d5, why not? Move ahead. King b1. I'm kind of surprised that he did that, that he moved his king. I'm not sure why he did that, but whatever. c5, I decide to get the pawns rolling. I'm trying to get position here. That's my purpose for c5. c4 tries to cut off the path here. Tries to attack the bishop as well. I go back, bishop c6, g4, b6, h4, f takes on g4, pawn takes pawn. So the knight has to move. He's in the way. Knight h2. Okay. D takes c4. I go ahead and take that pawn. Bishop takes the pawn on c4. And I'm sure you guys can see it by now where my opponent, Twister 2005, made a mistake. He did not pay attention to his rook way out here on the H file. And I saw that. I'm like, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Bishop takes rook on H1. And of course, I left this pawn vulnerable, even though I saw that. I was like, fine. If I lose a pawn, fine. I need to take that rook. So he goes ahead and takes that pawn. Bishop takes pawn e6 check. Okay, got to move my king. King h8. Rook takes bishop on h1. Logical. Knight to d7. Got to get my knight going. Knight takes pawn on g4. h5. I figure, okay, I just got to drive the knight away. I had a feeling I knew what he was trying to do with that. He tried to get me to bad position there. Queen d1. Tries to double down on that spot. C takes d4. Pawn takes pawn. Bishop takes knight on d7. Queen takes bishop on d7. Attacking the knight with the queen and the pawn. Rook protects the knight by moving to g1. So I'm like, okay, if you're going to give me the knight, I might as well take it. You know, and there again, D takes e3. Knight takes pawn on e3. And of course, as I say that, I made a mistake there with the L shape, as you can see. Queen goes back to e8. Knight to d5. Rook goes to d8 because I want that file. I want that line to the queen. So he moves his queen out of the way. Queen b3. I go ahead and take that pawn. Bishop takes pawn on h4. I knew the knight was threatening the bishop, and I did not want that, so that's what I did. Knight f3, still attacking my bishop. Okay. So here comes an interesting part of the game. And you're probably asking yourselves, okay, why did I make this move? Rook takes knight f3. Well, queen takes rook f3. Oh no, my rook. Yeah. And I go ahead and do this. Queen takes pawn e5. He lost whatever position he had in moving that pawn in the center. If you lose influence in the center, it makes it a little bit more difficult to achieve your goals. That's part of the that's part of why we play chess is that you got to you have to have you know you have to have this foundation set up when you're playing in the center. Otherwise, if you don't have anything to show for in the center, it's not going to work out for you. Okay? So, knowing that his knight was under attack, he moved knight c3. Okay. I get the pawns rolling d5, a3, bishop to f6, and this is where I get the diagonal formed. And that's a really key thing here towards the end of this game because as you can see here, the king, he's in a bad spot. He just is. The knight is getting overloaded. The pawn is just there. The queen and the rook are doing whatever over here. When you get to this spot, guys, you got to really focus on your opponent's king. So I go, well, he goes rook c1, covering the knight. Logical. a5, I get the pawns rolling still. I'm going after that knight no matter what, whether he moves it or not. Queen f2, my opponent's response. b4, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Knight moves out of the way. Knight a4. I go ahead, take the pawn. B takes a3. Queen c2. It seemed as though that he ran out of ideas and that he really didn't know what else to do at this point because I had such an overwhelming advantage here with the diagonal. And, I could totally see why he wouldn't take, because if he were to just take the pawn, my queen would just go right there, you know. So queen c2, that's what he did. I went ahead and take the pawn again. A takes b2. So he's got to make a decision. And he ended up taking the pawn with this knight. Knight captures pawn on b2. That's where I go with my rook. Rook to b8. And that was the official end of the game because he resigned. I mean, I got to give it up to Twister 2005. He did a good job. I really think he did. But there were some things that he overlooked where he was not paying attention to his pawn structure, and he was just not putting his pieces together correctly. I could tell just by looking at the position on the board. At least in real time, that's how I was thinking when I was playing this game. But anyway, this was a good game. And just a sequence here in case he did choose to continue. You know, I mean, really, the only thing that he could do realistically is sacrifice his queen. I would take the queen, obviously. He'd probably, you know, probably do that. But really, there's no real good answer here because I'm going through this hypothetically now. And yeah, he'd probably do that, protect his knight, but it's just a matter of time. Really, I would probably push the pawn up even more in this situation. But yeah, anyway, this right here, this was the official end of the game. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching this video, and hopefully you guys got something out of it. I don't claim to be a great chess player by any means. I'm not. I'm just that typical, chess club player. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Take care. Bye.